Okay, Hans von Spakovsky is a senior legal fellow in the new Edward Meese III Institute for the Rule of Law at Advancing American Freedom. Hans, welcome back to the show. How you doing this morning?
Joe, I'm doing just great. Thanks for having me back.
Well, you know things we don't know. You understand these things. I love this President Trump $10 billion with a B dollar lawsuit against the BBC. You know, Hans, I said earlier on the TV, on the radio, I'm saying, you know, it's like they want to impeach Donald Trump, and God forbid the midterms go the wrong way. The Democrats have nothing. They got nothing. They're going to just try to impeach Donald Trump, and it's like because of his business practices. What business practices? He's making a fortune off of these news organizations, right? I mean, whoa,
right?
$10 billion. But you know what? It was so egregious what the BBC did. He just may win this thing, Hans, right?
Yeah, and what happened recently is that the judge gave the Trump's lawyers permission to amend their complaint. You know, the original lawsuit that they filed. When they filed this in December, basically they made two claims. One was for defamation, but the other was under Florida's Unfair and Deceptive Business Practices Act. That's a standard law that almost every state has. It allows you to sue businesses that engage in fraud or unfair practices. And what it looks like is that they're going to drop that particular claim and just rely on defamation. Now, the BBC says, well, he's trying to avoid having to make financial disclosures related to a claim under that Florida law. I don't know about that, but the judge said, no, you can amend your complaint, and they've got until Monday to do that. I got to say, I think they got a pretty good case, as you said, to win, because, you know, what the BBC did is took two different speeches and stitched them together to make it look as if it was one speech, and as if the president was telling people who were protesting at the Capitol to engage in violence, when he didn't do that at all.
Yeah, it's so true. And they totally talk about AI. It wasn't even, it was before AI was AI. They just edited, they wrongly and viciously edited what they wanted. Go to the Capitol and try to rile up. That was on the January 6th, and they didn't. It was a complete, and BBC, I've done interviews. I'm sure you have as well with the BBC. They're very, very nice, but I don't know why they would do that. And now, President Trump, where is that, what court is that in, Hans? Do we know?
It's interesting. It's against the BBC, but they didn't go to England. They filed it in a federal court down in Florida. So it's U.S. law governing this. And look, part of the evidence in this case that so strongly favors Trump is the BBC actually hired someone from the outside to come in and look at what happened. A whistleblower released the report, and it led to the CEO and Director General of the BBC resigning because they had violated their own ethical standards for reporting.
Yeah, it's just inexcusable. And why they do that? Yeah, why do they do that, Hans? I mean, because it happens now. I got to tell you, correct me if I'm wrong. Just because we're on the radio every morning, I try to watch all the news. It's so tough. I can't watch these fired people like Chuck Todd or Joy Reid. I can't watch those folks because all they do is go in their house, they put a microphone up and a camera, and then I always say to my friends out at our favorite conservative television networks, please don't show them, because no one's going to see them unless you show them. You know what I mean? But they do, and I just try to avoid all that and avoid watching the negativity. But sometimes I watch the network news; they're getting better because unfortunately, you gotta really go after the bully because they were always bullies. And in fact, they're not even the mainstream media anymore; they're the fringe media. We are the media, making common sense, And now. They're learning from these lawsuits. Maybe you have to do one thing that they've never done before, Hans, and that is, tell the truth. I mean, right? They're being pressured into it.
Yeah, they are. And you know what's interesting about that is some of these big companies, as you know, have settled the lawsuits that were filed against them, and yet you then had named hosts, named reporters criticizing the company for doing that when what the company was doing was acknowledging that they didn't tell the truth.
It's so true, man. Only in the world of Donald Trump, and you got to appreciate it. Politics aside, so let me ask you about Todd Blanchard, confirmation as Attorney General.
Yeah.
Seems like a really decent fella, and that's a good thing. He finally got confirmed, huh?
Yeah, no, it is, and a lot of people don't realize that. Yeah, he's a political appointee as AG, but he has extensive experience as a line prosecutor. And that's the kind of thing the Justice Department needs. It needs to get away from being driven by politics, which it was during the Obama and Biden administration, and doing what it was supposed to do, prosecute criminals. And he can and will do that.
Yeah, that's good news. Hans, thanks always for taking the time, my friend. Talk to you soon, and thanks for joining us always.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. Hans von Spakovsky right there.